Just take a moment and guess the most important relationship in your life. Is it the one with your girlfriend? Is it the one with your brother, sister, spouse, mother, or father? Now, the most important relationship that you have is the relationship with yourself. How you view yourself actually determines every other relationship in your waking life. The relationship with yourself actually determines how other relationships that you have in now and in the distant future will function. Essentially, how does it feel to be with yourself? Because you are the only person that has been with you all the time. You are the only person that knows 100% for what is going on in your life. You are the only person who have experienced everything that you have gone through. So that is why your relationship with yourself is very, very, very important. Because how do you view yourself? What is your self worth? If you found another you, how would you feel? Would you feel so irritated? Or would you feel so happy? And would you guys vibe with each other? Now, that's a really good question to ask yourself. Now, the reason people go get into toxic relationships is because they are toxic themselves. They do not have a good relationship with themselves. So they go to find another person just so they can compensate their inner demons with the other person. How does it feel to be you? So if there's another you right in front of you, how would you treat that person? How would you value that person? How would you judge that person? And once you realize this, once you actually sit down, think about this, so many things will come up. Like, okay, I don't like this. I don't like that. Like, I am not that great at certain things. I am great at certain things. Like, it is completely self analysis. It's diving deep into your own soul, into your own heart, and actually finding out the relationship that you have with yourself. Only when you fix the relationship you have with yourself, you have the ability to go form amazing relationships with other people. It's like the internal reflects outside. So if you have a very bad relationship with yourself and you're always in the state of anger, guess what? You'll find more things to be more pissed off about. You will find more people who are in the state of anger, who always start causing fights. Because if you don't love yourself, why should anybody else love you? I know it's a harsh question, but it is completely true. If you don't respect yourself, why should somebody respect you? You must love yourself unconditionally, and only then you can expect to receive love and respect from other people. Because the relationship you have with yourself is a solid core foundation on how every other relationship is built upon. Most of the times people get into other relationships, they're just projecting their insecurities onto the other partner. They have a very bad relationship with themselves, and they have not done the inner work. They're just projecting on their trauma to the other person, expecting the other person to change and mend their ways according to the person who is in the relationship. And the other person is also doing the same thing, projecting their traumas onto you, trying to make you change according to their ways. Now, if you do the inner work, if you actually let go, raise your vibrational frequency, and actually love yourself, let go of all these petty issues or intense trauma, you let go of the baggage, you allow space for yourself to be loved by you. And only when you love yourself, only when you respect yourself, it kind of radiates outside, and people kind of pick up on that, and they eventually show you love. And that is essentially how your vibration manifests your reality and the people around you. If you are always, you know, feeling so guilty, feeling so shameful, you will attract more people who will tap in to that guilt of yours, will try to provoke that guilt of yours. Now, if you do the inner work, if you really have a genuine, authentic connection with yourself, and you know deep down that you love yourself and you respect yourself, guess what? The people that you attract will also love you, will also give you respect. Now, most of the times when you sit alone, all right, many of you can't really sit alone with your own thoughts. You need some distraction. You need to turn on the TV, some music, social media, talk to somebody on the phone because you don't have a good relationship with yourself. It is so scary to just sit down with nothing else, just your thoughts, because your thoughts are so scary. Your thoughts are so chaotic. The reason why is because you have not done the inner work. You don't have a good relationship with yourself. And all these thoughts arise and you don't really want to deal with them. So instead of, you know, dealing with them, you have this fear of being alone all the time. And you're like, I cannot stay alone without anyone else. And you become dependent on somebody else to tell you your self-worth, somebody else to tell you or show you love, because you are unable to give yourself love. And now you become a dependent on somebody else to give you love. And it is very similar to an energy vampire. If you kind of notice it, energy vampires rely on your energy so that they can live. They feed off on other people's energy because they are unable to access the universal energy that is there, abundant in the universe, in the nature. Similarly, you are unable to access that self worth and love and that self respect. So you go leech on to another person so that they can give you love because you are unable to give yourself love. And it's very it's very messed up in that way. It kind of gives you that analogy that even you might be an energy vampire, depending on other people to prove your own self worth. Like your self worth should come from you. That is why fix the relationship with yourself, heal the relationship with yourself, forgive yourself. Now, if you talk about your past self, if you talk to people, what do they think about what do they think about themselves 5 years ago, 10 years ago? They will give such a negative review of themselves. They will say all the bad things in the world about themselves, their younger self. But their younger self is the reason why they are here today. So instead of telling all these mean things to your younger self, why don't you show your younger self some love? That is how you heal your younger self and heal from your trauma, because you did the best you can at that given situation and at that given moment in time. It doesn't matter if you got some awareness right now, but at that moment you did the best that you could. Now you have to heal from that trauma, because if you carry on that trauma, you will create this negative spiral of self hate and self depreciation. You'll have this guilt that you didn't keep up with the world, you didn't keep up with yourself. And this essentially ruins the relationship with yourself and ruins every other relationship that you get into. So, the only way you can get into good relationships in life, whether it's romantic relationships or business relationships or just friendships in general, is by healing and fixing the relationship you have with yourself. So, if you have not healed from your trauma, and if you don't have a very high self worth and you don't really love yourself, you will attract another person who's also not healed from their trauma and who doesn't really love themselves. So both of you are kind of dependent on each other for that approval of love, for that approval of self worth. Both of you are feeding off each other's energy. And this essentially becomes a toxic relationship. So if you raise your self worth, if you fix and heal the relationship you have with yourself, guess what? You will attract a partner who's also healed the inner trauma, was let go of all the trauma, and has a very good relationship with themselves. And both of you come together and create more love. You literally create and radiate more love and more joy and more happiness in that relationship. And that is how a relationship blossoms. So, fix the most important relationship in your life, and that is the relationship with yourself.